call people claiming pro-choice pro-abortion because they advocate the use of abortion as a means to terminate the life of a being that has its own DNA.
Chicken eggs have their own DNA too, but we use those to eat. Are you going to start protesting outside of chicken farms?
I refuse to give people a fluffy, goody-goody, watered-down mask title for what it's really meant to symbolize. If abortion were really a necessary evil, then thousands of unborn babies daily would not be aborted. In fact, around 97% of all abortions are non-rape and non-life-threatening.
Where do you get those statistics from? You're just wondering. I mean, there's no link down here in the bar.
This tells me that females are having abortions for the fact that they are lazy, good-for-nothing, deadbeat mothers that don't.
Well, let's see about that. If abortions were used as a primary method of birth control, a typical woman would have at least 2 or 3 pregnancies per year, 30 or more during her lifetime. In fact, most women who have abortions have had no previous abortions, or only 1 previous abortion. The decision to have an abortion is really simple. Most women base their decision on several factors, the most common being lack of money and or unreadiness to start or expand their families due to existing responsibilities. That doesn't seem like they're, being deadbeats or careless. It sounds like pretty good reasoning to me.
Want to take responsibility for their own actions in creating a baby. There are plenty of reliable contraceptives, the most effective being abstinence.
Abstinence is the least effective because in order for something to work, you have to do it. Now, between not having sex and having lots of sex, which do you think most people are going to choose based on level of pleasure?
I call them deadbeat mothers because any man that creates a baby and leaves is considered a deadbeat dad. So it is only fair and just to call mothers that terminate, not leaves, but terminate their children a deadbeat child aborter. It should never be considered a choice to terminate life at will because of petty reasons, and thus...
Tell that to your God. How many people did he snuff out in the Bible for, little to no reasoning?
Title pro-choice is invalid. I believe a woman that aborts babies should be looked down upon like the scum of the earth, like they were back in the day.
I smell hypocrisy. You may or not be familiar with a little book called the Bible. Not sure if you've read it. I know there's a few interesting passages in there. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Just some food for thought.
Realize the new philosophy is killing this country, looking at...
And that's coming from an atheist, BTW.
The rise in abortions, premarital sex, teen pregnancies, STDs, divorces, suicides, depression, etc. All thanks to liberalism.
Liberalism, you say? Well, let's see. STD statistics. Primary, secondary, syphilis. Louisiana, ranked number 1. Chlamydia, Mississippi, ranked number 1. Gonorrhea, Mississippi, also number 1. Number 2 for syphilis, Alabama. Number 2 for Alaska is chlamydia. Gonorrhea is Louisiana. Number 3 is Georgia for syphilis. South Carolina for chlamydia. South Carolina for gonorrhea. Most religious states, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina.
But that's another video in and of itself. Now, for the argument that a child is not considered living or a respectable enough being to dismiss abortion in earlier trimesters is the most...
Well, since they don't even have a nervous system, they can't think or feel, they're not really a being.
Absurd and ridiculous claim that man. The whole argument...
No, the most absurd and ridiculous claim to man is that my underwear is made completely out of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, but you can't disprove that because I live on the moon.
And that a fetus is a parasite until later trimesters, or is able to fend for itself, is self-refuting. For or even after the child is born, it is still somatically a parasite.
Its metabolic processes aren't directly linked to that of another person. Its existence isn't going to put another person's health at risk. Its, dying isn't going to potentially kill someone else, and vice versa.
A born child cannot survive without its parents or some form of capable and able being to protect, provide, and raise it. In fact, you are legally responsible for the child until he or she is considered an adult. Thus, by this logic, a born infant is just as bad as a fetus.
Oh yeah, I hate those babies. Terrible things. They smell, they eat things, they spread germs. Ugh.
The very logic a fetus is a parasite should not be treated as a human is a logical fallacy. That's pretty much
I think a logical fallacy is just making crap up.
my stance on the whole issue. It's far from good enough when around 97% of all abortions are done out of laziness and irresponsibility, not rape, not life-threatening situations.
Except how you don't cite any sort of, place of gaining statistical knowledge that isn't complete, utter bull crappery.
Only 1% of all abortions are rape, 3% for mothers'
Picks or it didn't happen.
health problems, and 3% for fetal health problems. The latter two are absolutely no excuse at all, with all the success stories of mothers going with the pregnancy anyway and living.
You mean that whole human race thing of all those people having kids?
Babies surviving their health problems as well.
Except for when they don't and they die a really terrible, painful death, like when they're born and their skin is like all bunched up into plates and it's hard and it cracks and they die.
The only argument that remains a different one is rape. Being only 1%, it's not even a considerable amount to support the system.
Oh yeah, rape survivors. Fuck them. Haha, rape.
Women in the past have carried babies after rape and have lived.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that kid, had a great, happy, skippy life knowing he's brought into the world, unwillingly.
If the next argument is mental depression, the same can be said for any woman that goes through with an abortion. Mental issues occur with that as well, so by that logic, you would destroy the very thing you fight for.
Well, let's look at that. Myth, many women come to regret their abortions later. Research indicates that relief is the most common emotional response following abortion, and that psychological distress appears to be the greatest before rather than after an abortion. There are undoubtedly some women who, in hindsight, wish they'd made different choices. The majority would have preferred to never have become pregnant when the circumstances were not right for them. Blah, 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 loss and grief. Down here, women at risk for poor post-abortion adjustment are those who do not get the support they need or whose abortion decisions are actively opposed by people who are important to them.
For those of you that like my views, good for you. And for those
Screw it, video's over anyways.